Welcome back. I'm Sammy Long. We're doing another preseason preview video looking at Game 3 against the Golden State Warriors here. There's four more, including the one on Sunday against the Warriors, and then we get to the main course, Lakers-Warriors opening night. Can't wait for that here in about a week and a half. That's going to be absolutely electric. So we're going to get into today on this preview video who has to step up after the LeBron injury. LeBron is out 3 to 4 weeks, if you haven't heard. Dealing with sciatica in his lower back. We're going to get into what team between the Warriors and the Lakers has better depth. But first, we're going to get into who's in, who's out of this preseason game on Sunday. Obviously, the preseason doesn't matter. You're looking at the only thing we want here is no injuries. It's the only thing we're looking for. The final outcome doesn't matter. It's just nice seeing basketball back and the Lakers getting in a little bit of a rhythm before they got to help open up the NBA season on the opener. So, looking at who is in and out for this game, on the Warriors side, Steph Curry will not play. Jimmy Butler will not play. Al Horford and neither Moses Moody. On the Lakers side, Marcus Smart will be making his Laker debut, which will be fun to see him in the purple and gold. Reeves is going to be available. JJ Redick said there's no more updates on Fierro or Kleber, which is kind of unfortunate. Hopefully those guys aren't out for too much longer, but kind of hush-hush on that front. And then Luka is TBD, but he will play per JJ Redick in 2 of the final 4 preseason games, as I mentioned, which includes Sunday against the Warriors. So over the next 4 games, he will be playing twice. We'll see if he plays in this one. I'm sure even if he does, it'll be limited minutes, kind of just getting him back in game shape there in the first quarter. But then again, remember, we just want no injuries. That's kind of all that matters with the preseason games. So let's get into what team has better depth. The LeBron injury kind of got me thinking. So these teams are both kind of built similarly. I mean, you're built on 2 stars with the Lakers, Luka, LeBron, and then you got Curry and Jimmy Butler holding it down for the Warriors, and then a collection of guys. And on the Warriors side of things, starting lineup outside of Butler and Curry is going to be Brandon Podziemski, who's a very nice young player for them. The Lakers have seen him for the last couple of years. A really talented defender and can kind of be a streaky shooter at times. Draymond Green, who's been there forever. Al Horford, the new signing, finally giving them a legit center. It's been a long time since the Warriors have really had a true center. I mean, you're thinking back to some of the early title days for them. Andrew Bogut was a center. It kind of allowed Draymond Green to play more power forward. The last couple of years, the Warriors have just really struggled against teams that have legit centers because Draymond Green is an undersized center in the league. He's really more of a power forward, but has kind of had to drop down to that role because they really just haven't had a big that can do that. Horford, you think, will fit nicely with them, especially because he can get the 3 ball and kind of fill into their offense. The Warriors last year shot the least amount of free throws in the entire league, and they have one of the highest 3-point attempt rates of anyone in the league. So they're letting the ball fly from everywhere. Nothing really new on the Warrior front. And then on the bench, you got Buddy Hield, Moses Moody, DeAnthony Melton, Jonathan Kuminga, who we kind of got into last video. The whole saga is over. Will he be traded? Will he be back? He figures to be kind of the focal point of that second unit. Quentin Post and Seth Curry, Steph's brother. And on the Lakers side, I think the big question there is who's going to start after the LeBron injury. So you got Luka and Reeves locked in. You figure Rui's now going to be locked in, even if he wasn't before. Probably had a pretty good chance to start before. But now with the LeBron injury, you need some size there. Rui's going to start in DeAndre Ayton. That leaves 3 guys really open for that third spot or that 5th spot. You're looking at Marcus Smart. Maybe he could fill that role. Jake LaRavia, the new signing. Jared Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's had a really nice preseason so far. Seemed to work on his offensive game a little bit and bring in that same defensive intensity he always had. My best bet would probably be Marcus Smart, simply because he brings probably the best combo of defense and offense. I know Marcus Smart has struggled offensively the last few years, but look where he was at. He was playing on some bad teams. I really think Marcus Smart in his prime was a pretty elite offensive player. I think he's probably the best bet there. Jake LaRavia is who you want if you want to go all offense, but that seems pretty aggressive considering Luka and Reeves' history in the backcourt not being excellent defenders. Then adding LaRavia in there, who's not a bad defender, but that's not Marcus Smart and Jared Vanderbilt are better defenders than him. Rui and DeAndre Ayton, that seems like a little too offensive-minded of a lineup. I think you definitely got to go with a little bit more defense there. And then whatever guy doesn't start is kind of rounding out the bench. You get maybe it's LaRavia, Vando, Marcus Smart. You got Gabe Vincent, obviously, Dalton Connect. So looking at the depth, like you look at the Warriors who feel kind of old. They have 2 really nice young players in Brandon Podziemski and Jonathan Kuminga. The what team has better depth, I think, really kind of relies on who how is Jonathan Kuminga used? Because Jonathan Kuminga is kind of falling into a role of being the star of the second unit, the kind of in that 6-man of the year conversation. They could have some really nice depth because they have some nice complementary pieces. Buddy Hield and Seth Curry can really spot fill Curry and these guys with minutes because they kind of play the same way. Obviously, they're not as good as those guys, but they shoot the 3 ball. They're not going to have trouble fitting into the system. And Kuminga is really an ace card off the bench because him playing with Jimmy Butler doesn't really work. They're very similar. They both need the ball a lot. That would not make a lot of sense to have them on the floor at the same time. So Kuminga could be a real ace off the bench for them. So I think the Warriors have maybe the best piece off the bench, but the Lakers have a pretty, I think when LeBron's back healthy, pretty complete bench. I mean, if you're going Marcus Smart, if you're going Jared Vanderbilt, you're going to have a couple elite defenders on there coming off the bench, and then you're allowing your guys like Dalton Knecht, you're allowing your guys like Jake LaRavia to really just focus on scoring. I think the Lakers maybe have a little bit more of a complete bench, whereas Jonathan Kuminga coming off the bench would be the best player coming off the bench between both franchises. And then it kind of leads me to who has to step up after the LeBron injury. LeBron out 3 to 4 weeks. We don't know how long it's going to be. I've heard a lot of different opinions. Some people are really worried, thinking this is kind of a sign of things to come, that he's going to be dealing with injuries all year. Some people are kind of making the point that, hey, LeBron needs to be ready for the playoffs. That's what he's there for. At this stage in his career, at his age, he wasn't going to be playing 82 games anyway. I assume we're going to be seeing a lot more of this throughout the season. Some extended breaks. I doubt LeBron will be playing on too many back-to-back nights anyway. This is an interesting time with this team because for years it's always been if LeBron or AD wasn't playing when AD was here, was in LA, they're probably losing. And you couldn't really load manage AD and LeBron because if they weren't playing, the Lakers were losing. Well, the team you're thinking about this year is talented enough, 5th best odds to win a title by most sports books, in that even if LeBron is out for a little bit of extended period of time, the Lakers will obviously benefit them having LeBron there, but can still stay afloat and win a decent amount of games to where they're comfortably in the playoff picture in the West. I think you're first looking at Austin Reeves. And Austin Reeves has to be the guy that can ascend into being a number 2 star, be Luka's running mate, because it really just can't be Luka Doncic scoring. Austin Reeves has shown at times that he could be an elite scorer. He was really good when Luka was hurt, and LeBron and Reeves were kind of running that team there for a few weeks after they traded for Luka Doncic, and he was hurt. And then he had the 45 points against the Indiana Pacers last year when Luka and LeBron were out. So Reeves can be that guy. I think what's interesting is is the Luka and Reeves backcourt. It's a lot of offense, not a lot of defense. How is that going to work? That really leads me to my point earlier about how I'm sure Vando or Marcus Smart is going to get that rounding out the starting lineup, because you need someone that can take the other team's best offensive player and really get after them defensively. But he's got to step up. Austin Reeves has to be the guy. I think DeAndre Ayton is big in the sense of you got to have a lob threat, especially if you're not having a second elite scorer in LeBron James. Luka's got to have options on a lob threat along with Austin Reeves. Those guys got to produce. And then you're kind of looking at one of these guys off the bench. Your Dalton Knecht, your Gabe Vincent, your Jake LaRavia. Which guy is going to step up? Because all these guys can shoot. All these guys can play. And Dalton Knecht was very good there for the first half of the season. The trade that didn't happen kind of seemed to throw off the rest of his year. Gabe Vincent's had a really up and down career since coming to the Lakers from the Miami Heat. And Jake LaRavia is kind of the guy I think that was signed to be that. So Jake LaRavia has to be that, or Marcus Smart turns back the clock. But they got to stay afloat. I'm interested to see how JJ Redick does these lineups, because again, Rui offensive-minded player, Reeves offensive-minded player, Luka Doncic offensive-minded player, hell, DeAndre Ayton's an offensive-minded player. There's not really a defensive stalwart on that unit, so I'm assuming Vando, Marcus Smart. I'm curious opening night if a starting 5 of those 4 with one elite defender can work, or if Reeves and Doncic on the floor together are really not going to work, and you're going to have to play Smart and Vando together and hope that Reeves and Luka Doncic can carry the load offensively while the other one's on the bench. So interesting time for the Lakers. The betting odds for night 1 against the Golden State Warriors was the Lakers favored by 3.5. That has swung all the way to Golden State favored by 1.5 after the LeBron injury, understandably. But I think the Lakers are positioned in a sense to be able to stay relevant while LeBron's out. in previous years, I don't think that was the case. I just think the depth was not there. I think Austin Reeves has elevated his game. I think DeMarcus Smart, Jared Vanderbilt coming back, and guys like that can really help this. I think Jake LaRavia might be a little bit of an unsung hero here early, getting a lot of looks off the bench to be able to become a scorer to help out Luka and Reeves. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We're going to be tapped into this preseason game on Sunday. Alan will get you guys back with a post-game show. Obviously, he's got his show in the mornings there, doing his thing as usual. And then I'll be back with another preview video for the next Laker matchup. So appreciate everybody for tuning in. Go Lakers, and tune in next time. Thank you.